Welcome to a very special episode of the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. I am bigz. He is Grindberg. Schultz is also in the house. It's a very special episode because guess what? We're doing a rookie Dynasty mock draft in a fantasy forecast show that's about redraft leagues. Because we're crazy. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz right here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, on YouTube and on Twitter. We're doing this, aren't we?
We are doing a mock draft because I thought that, you know what, our viewers need to know about these rookies, and what better way of getting them familiar with how the landscape is just we talk about them as we draft them in a startup here, not a startup, but a rookie mock draft. So we got a full house already ready to go. Schultz, how you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing really well today. I'm gonna be honest.
Good.
It's a good day on my end.
Feeling a little bit weak?
No, man. Plasma doesn't take anything out of me. I'm a monster.
You so hard, Schultz.
I donate that plasma so hard, man. You don't even know.
You do it. All right, let's talk about this draft here. Okay, so Schultz, you're going to be drafting in the 4th spot. So tell me a little bit about what kind of strategy you're going to be headed in here. Why you pick this spot? You might have a couple of leagues with this type of draft capital. Like, what are you talking about here when you when we're talking about the 4th spot here?
Well, one of the reasons was I spaced myself between you guys pretty well. Another reason was I don't have any leagues where I'm in this spot, so I just wanted to give it a whirl.
Clever.
Awesome, bigz. You're going at the 101 here. I think I know why. I mean, you're a huge Raider fan in the back. I think you finally want to get your guy because you're probably not drafted in the 101 in too many leagues, are you, man?
No, and the one that I am, I'm taking Travis Hunter because it's an IDP league. But yeah, I am a Raiders fan and I love Ashton Jeanty, and so I'm even choosing the 101 in mock drafts just so that I can keep pushing that button because I like him so much.
That's awesome. And for me, I'm at the 109 here, folks, and I got a draft that's starting this weekend in this exact spot. So I thought for myself that what other way of getting a feel for my competitors and a drastic change here could happen. So I'm going to look at this spot and see where my dominoes will fall. And we got a really stacked house of some sharp minds. We've got Chev in the chat. We got Mike. We've got Dynasty, Big M. We got a huge group here from
Joe Frick. Don't forget Joe Frick.
Joe Frick, Schultz. Yeah, we're ready to rock, folks. So without further ado, we are going to start the draft. And I'm going to start it up. So, bigz, tell me about this draft situation. What, Jeanty, just the chalk pick here?
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons to like Ashton Jeanty. Number one, his production profile. Number two, his physical profile. Number three, his draft age. You have a guy who's coming out of the Mountain West Conference, and there have been successful running backs out of the Mountain West before in the NFL, but there are some rates that we look at, and those rates, especially missed tackles forced. Ashton Jeanty, about 40% of his runs, he created a missed tackle. He also had the most loaded boxes of any running back in college football last year. So the production that he put together, facing as many 8-man boxes as he did, and also forcing twice as many forced or missed tackles as anybody else out of the Mountain West. He's basically, you can't look at it as, well, he came from that division. He's just otherworldly. And I mean, he skews everything in charts to the right because he's such an outlier with his talent. And I love that he's on my team. Whoa, Bashal Tootin going 6th.
Well, I think that was an auto pick.
Yeah.
Chev might have not gotten the call here, but that is okay. I mean, that's the first time I've seen Bashal go there, but we got to talk about your homer pick here, Schultz. I mean, Travis Hunter sliding to the 4. It's not often you see him go that far. What are your thoughts on Travis Hunter? What do you think his upside is headed into 2025? Is he going to compete with Brian Thomas Jr. as the alpha in that lineup, or do you think he's going to take a backseat because of his defensive prowess and how much he's going to play on defense.
So they've already come out and said they're going to load him at wide receiver first, let the corner stuff kind of evolve from there. And so I don't have concerns about volume. I do think he will probably be behind Brian Thomas as far as targets go. But hey, look, we've watched Liam Cohen roll out Evans and Godwin, and both of them smash. This new offense is going to get both of these dudes with the ball in their hands. Cohen's offense is like lead the league in screens. They're just going to give Hunter the ball and just be like, you go cook. And that's a lot of what he did at Colorado when he gets in space, like absolutely dangerous. Is it a homer pick? Obviously, but I was anticipating taking Travion here. I didn't.
No!
I didn't think I'd have a shot at Travis here, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's fair. And then bigz' reaction here was a big one, and that was to Jackson Dart going at the 111, which is a pretty normal spot for him to be going for at this stage of the draft. He was hoping he would slide down and get a Jeanty, Dart. Both of the guys at bigz is really high. I want you to tell us a little bit about Jackson Dart, bigz, and why you had him as your quarterback one headed into the draft, and headed into this whole season. You were really so high on Jackson Dart.
Well, I get Drake May vibes when I watch Jackson Dart. He was one of the most accurate deep ball passers in all of college football last year, and he's got the 500 yards rushing per season cheat code. So I am all hands on deck with Jackson Dart. I don't know if that made sense.
So Schultze, this is a slide in a lot of situations here for Colston Loveland, and Tyler Warren went quite a bit ahead of him. So talk to me about your pick here, and with all the competition in the Bears, wide receiver room, what do you think is going to happen here with Loveland? We know that Ben Johnson likes to develop these tight ends. We see the Sam Laporta situation, but there's a lot of mouths to feed there. And if we look at the pick right before Loveland, it was Luther Burden, another guy they added in the draft.
No concerns here for Loveland. I mean, this dude was handpicked by Ben Johnson at 10th overall in the draft. That's like a big enough reason for me to pull the trigger here. I trust Ben Johnson based on what we've seen out of him in Detroit, and like he's given us no reason to not trust him. As far as the targets go, I think it's not crazy to see DJ Moore out of here within a year, and that's just going to help Loveland's case. And man, this young tight end with a young quarterback, like I could see him leaning on Loveland, and Ben Johnson has compared him to his next Sam Laporta, and I'm in on that.
I do have to push back on that just a little bit, Schultze. DJ Moore has a $70 million dead cap hit, and so he's going to be impossible to trade, and he's not getting cut anytime soon. So at least for 2025 and 2026, he's going to be in Chicago.
All right, so I paused the draft because I wanted to just kind of give a quick recap of where we're at after 2 rounds here, folks. So bigz with the 101, he went with Jeanty. Hampton went at the 102, which is a normal pick. I haven't seen him slide too much further from 3. Henderson has been steaming up lately. I usually see him going back and forth with Hampton based off of their landing spots, but Hunter getting a slide. Ted McMillan is, rocking out at the 105. I've seen him go as high as 102. Two was an auto pick, so we can't really put too much flavor into that one. Cam Ward, 107. Quinshawn Judkins at 108, and then RJ Harvey at 109 by myself. So a little bit about RJ return. Tyler Warren at 110. Jackson Dart at 111. Emeka Ebuka at 112, and then we started again with Jaden Higgins as bigz is one of his stars that he was aligning for. Caleb Johnson at 2, Burden at 3, Loveland at 4, and then Golden Knoll, Tre Harris, and Jack Betch. We had a run of wide receivers right in the middle, and then Cam Scatabo with a nice late run for me. Jalen Milroe, and then Kyle Williams, and then Mason Taylor to round off the first 2 rounds. Now we're going to hear from our sponsor real quick.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to fantasysportsadvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to fantasysportsadvice.com today.
Yeah, go there and get yourself a pro membership. And right about to release right away is our coveted rookie guide. It has gone to the publisher, and we're waiting for it to hit the press here. So go on, get the rookie guide, and you'll get all the insights on every single one of these players that have been just drafted. Now, let's get back to the action, Biggs. You just picked Tyler Shough. Talk to me about him and what you see about his upside here.
So, especially in Dynasty, Tyler Shough has a very short window to emerge, but he was drafted by the Saints, so they are looking at a quarterback snafu with Derek Carr. Possibly, my read on the situation with Carr is that he has a torn rotator cuff. It's one of the reasons why the injury didn't bother him until he started throwing with more intensity recently, and then went, oh wait, I'm having a hard time lifting my arm. That's a standard rotator cuff symptom, and so I think that's the injury that he's dealing with. He's going to have surgery. He's likely going to miss the entire 2025 season. Spencer Rattler is not a good option to take over in New Orleans. They did give Tyler Shough some draft capital, and I just have a feeling that Tyler Shough is going to be immediately put into service. And if you have a quarterback in Dynasty that is on the field, that's a good spot for them to be.
Hey, pre-draft, I was pretty hard on the never Tyler Shough train. Like,
Me
I
too.
think this dude sucks. I think he's hot garbage. I think he's not going to do anything. But you're dead on the nose. In the third round, you're getting a guy who's probably going to start. And if he puts out even a couple of decent games, like, you're going to flip him for more than what you drafted him for.
Correct.
Absolutely. Now, Schulte, talking about Dylan Sampson and why you picked him so early in this, seeing how he's going to be behind Giddens right away out of the gate.
This one here, I don't know. We start to get into the dead zone here that I'm like, I've got a couple guys like beyond the dead zone that I like. So we're sitting in the dead zone, and I don't know. I just didn't want to super reach for one. I think Sampson is going to get himself on the field. I view Judkins as a early down guy, kind of that grinder dude who's going to eat up the work early. And I think they're going to use Sampson in the passing game, third down role. I think he's already better than Jerome Ford. I'm not a huge Jerome Ford guy. I think his speed's going to show up on the field. They're just going to give him the ball enough times this year and, potentially moving forward to make third round capital worth it for you.
Totally. Now, a couple guys here coming around. I want to hear your insights on some of these guys. Biggs, you just picked Brashard Smith. Going into Kansas City, he's got an opportunity here. May not, get in, make the roster right out of the gate. But I mean, Kansas City looking at him. I know he's a 7th round guy, but this draft class was so deep. They were able to wait, and he's got that Jerick McKinnon vibe written all over him, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on Brashard Smith, and why did you pick him at the 401?
Well, there are two guys that I really, really like to begin the 4th round, and that is Brashard Smith and Taj Brooks. And simply because of the situation that they're in. In Kansas City, we know what their offense is, and they love a Jerick McKinnon type, which Brashard Smith automatically is, and he could find playing time immediately. You can tell by where Isaiah Pacheco was drafted that Kansas City cares more about talent than they do about contracts. And so even if there's a guy with no draft capital, what to speak of, like Isaiah Pacheco, if he's good, he's going to keep his job. So where Brashard Smith was drafted doesn't really make a whole lot of difference when we're talking about Kansas City. The other guy is Taj Brooks, and there was something that was said by the Cincinnati people the other day that Taj Brooks is like a bowling ball covered in razor blades, and they are already speaking very, very highly of him. The only person that he has in the backfield who's ahead of him is Chase Brown, and he has better draft capital than Brown does. So I could see a very, very quick path to starting for Taj Brooks.
Gotcha. Now, I'm going to talk about one of the guys that I picked at the later end here, and I haven't seen him slide this far, and that's Woody Marks. I mean, he's got an opportunity here with, the Texans. They got, obviously, Joe Mixon. He's clearly entrenched as a starter.
Yeah, they do.
He sure is.
Damian Pierce, he hasn't really shown.
Well, you got some
enough to
Canadian
me to be
shenanigans
considered a
going on, you
serious
guys.
threat. So that gives Marks a real.
I love how we're all named
Am
Schultze
I,
also.
Can you hear me?
You're back
Can you
now.
hear me down? I'm back now.
It's
We got
Talking
you.
about,
things.
got me now?
I don't know if, but in Canada, the internet wires are opposite
We got our
of the
wires
way they are in
crossed
America.
up here. No, I was just talking about Woody Marks and
Congrats to Grindberg's Winnipeg Jets, though. That was quite the comeback in a Game 7. They were down 3-1, and they scored 2 goals in the last 3 minutes, including one with 3 seconds left, and pushed it to overtime and took the series. That was great.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Forever in the Grindberg household, the name Lowry will bring forth smiles and happiness.
Absolutely. Bigz, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. Schulte, can you hear me?
We good.
It was awesome. It was a great game, and this draft went really well. I was talking about Woody Marks. Do you want to hear about him?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Well, I just like I just like where he's at there with the Texans. You know, I just think that Joe Mixon, he is entrenched there as their starter. I don't see Damian Pierce putting up a huge threat in, Marks' versatility right out of the gate. He's likely won't be the primary ball carrier out to contribute, and I think that's what we're looking for in these later rounds. A guy that can get in, get an opportunity, just like Brashard Smith, just like Schultze's Damian Martinez, who might, down the line an injury or two happen, they can get into the lineup. Taj Brooks, like Bigz mentioned, he's got an opportunity here behind Chase Brown, who's a later round pickup as well. So there's nothing like, an injury that could, sideline Chase Brown for a game or two. And next thing you know, Taj Brooks is there leading the way. And, it's an interesting later round here. Let's just recap the last 2 rounds. Bigz went Tyler Shough. He spoke highly of him. Elijah Arroyo, another guy that's been steaming up. He got a good landing spot in Seattle. Devin Neal, a guy that Bigz, had on his followers list after the draft. Not a great landing spot with the New Orleans Saints. Dylan Sampson, Schulte had a good couple things to say about him, but that's just Jaden Blue, gentleman here, who got a good landing spot with the Cowboys. What are your guys' thoughts on him, and where do you see him, coming out in this landscape? I'll start with you, Bigz.
Well, the fact that they have a couple of guys ahead of him in Devin Singletary and Javonte Williams, I don't like the spot very much. It's going to take a pretty good camp from him to get himself onto the field, because I just don't like the Cowboys situations at running back. I haven't for a few years.
Yeah, and then you got Shedeur Sanders, where I think he's seen him kind of falling lately, is the middle of the 3rd round in a lot of these rookie drafts. Jalen Royals at a decent landing spot with the Chiefs, but you never know what they're going to do with their wide receiver room. I think that's more of an insurance policy for Rashee Rice, depending on his injury and some legal battles that he's dealing with. DJ Giddens, I like that landing spot here. He's another guy that I had a lot of stake in, and a guy that I'm kind of higher on here after I took a couple minutes to process the draft here. Great.
I absolutely would have picked DJ Giddens earlier than Devin Neal or Dylan Sampson or Jaden Blue. I like DJ Giddens' spot. He's in Indiana, and there are injuries afoot when you're talking about some of the indie running backs. So he has a very quick path to the field, I think.
I was between Giddens and Sampson myself. We've seen lots of ankle injuries for Jonathan Taylor, and he's one more of those away from getting his time to shine.
Yeah,
I ended up with Sampson because I felt like he doesn't need an injury to make an impact.
No, and his explosive play rate is going to be ridiculous in the NFL. If we look back at Travis Etienne's his rookie season, his first season where he was on the field,
Right.
he led the NFL running backs in plays over 20 yards, plays over 40 yards, plays over 50 yards. And I think that's kind of the profile we're looking at with Sampson. All he needs is a chance to get the ball in his hands, and he's going to make some of those plays happen. And so if you're looking for a big play guy, Dylan Sampson is on the mark.
He is on the mark. Can you guys hear me now again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back at it. Okay, well, a guy that I picked as well is Jarquez Hunter here. He goes into a pretty crowded backfield with, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, but, they invested in some good draft capital in him. He looks like a guy that, a very similar skill set to Kyron Williams. So you never know, an injury could happen here, and he could be Sean McVay's number one. Ollie Gordon, another pretty interesting landing spot. I think the Miami Dolphins really needed a guy that could push the ball on the line into the red zone, and I think they haven't had a guy like that in a really, really long time. Schulte, what's your first take on Ollie Gordon headed to Miami?
At first, I was a little confused. I wasn't a fan, but the more I sat on it, I like it a lot. I think this is showing Mike McDaniel evolving as a coach, because at one point in his first few years there, it was just speed. It was nothing other than that. And I think he's learning that there is a role to be had for a guy like Ollie Gordon on his squad, and it's only going to help some of those other speed dudes out. I like him here, especially late third. I think he slots in as your goal line back instantly.
Yeah, he's going to have usage similar to what we saw from Raheem Mostert 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And you could see that touchdown upside there, plain as day. What did Mostert have that year? 20 touchdowns, I think it was.
20,
it was something crazy.
22.
Yeah, it was insane. So there's that upside there. You got a really big, pretty polar opposite in that backfield with Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen with Jalen Wright now that Ollie Gordon plays into account here. Now, with the 311, we had Terrence Ferguson. We had a run of tight ends here back to back. Harold Fannin Jr. to Cleveland, and then Brashard Smith at the 401. We talked about him. Elik Aomanor at the 401. Quinn Ewers, Damian Martinez, Will Howard, Gunnar Helm, Taj Brooks, Isaac Teslaa. I want to hear your guys' take on Teslaa. He had a really incredible relative athletic score. He doesn't really test well in some other metrics like the UN score that bigz and I know a little bit about. bigz, Arkansas guy. He's got he's 6'4", 217, brings a lot of speed. He could contested catch. He was a guy that caught my eye quite a bit after you pointed him out, and I've been on him ever since. So tell us a little bit more about Isaac Teslaa.
I think he's probably, out of all these wide receivers, he was the biggest winner in the NFL draft with his draft capital going to Detroit when he did. He was kind of looked at as, a very late rounder, maybe a 5th or 6th round wide receiver, but he went very, very high. And obviously the Lions have plans with him. And when you have an offense that's as productive as Jared Goff's offense in Detroit, if he has another guy alongside Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams, who I have tabbed for a huge breakout season as well, Teslaa could be a big time sleeper.
Yeah, agreed. And to end this draft, we had Woody Marks, Tez Johnson, Oronde Gatson, and Trevor Etienne, which is a sneaky one at the end there. He faded all the way to the back end there. In a Carolina situation, guys, that's kind of wide open right now. We know Chuba Hubbard's the bona fide number one guy there. He had a great season last year, but nipping on his toes here is the potential some Trevor Etienne action here. We know Jonathan Brooks is sidelined for at least half of the season, if not the whole 2025 season here. And that leaves the door open here for Trevor Etienne to come in. bigz, I know you talked a little bit about him, but Schulte, what are your thoughts on the Etienne?
I'm going to be honest, I have a really tough time on this one. This is a really tough evaluation for me. He was obviously, he performed really well. He had really good yards per carry. I don't know, man. This one's really tough for me. I'm kind of meh on it. I don't think I'm going to touch him just for that reason. I don't see a ton of upside here. They've just paid Chuba, and he was killing it last year. I think he'll just be a dude at most.
I think he's going to be in a similar situation to Brashard Smith, where he's going to get some third down carries, third down catches. He's a very good receiving back, and I think that's the path for him. One of the things that I want to point out to everybody is that when we're looking at these rookie drafts, what we are seeing is maybe a handful of guys in the first round that are going to start and be productive, but this draft class, everything is a handcuff. Basically everything that we're looking at in Dynasty is we're looking at assets, their paths to the field. We're not necessarily considering them as starters or productive in 2025. You're basically just stacking assets for the future, and I think if you look at everybody in this draft with that lens, I think you're gonna find a lot of guys that you like more than you think you will. You just kind of have to shade it that way. If I'm looking at the first round, I know Jeanty's going to start. Hampton will probably start. Travion Henderson should start. Hunter is going to. McMillan is going to. Cam Ward likely will, barring some kind of incredible summer from Will Levis. Quinshon Judkins, maybe. RJ Harvey, likely. Tyler Warren, sure, but he might take some time. Jackson Dart, the Giants say that they're not trying to rush him, but the way I feel about him, I think he could be the starter week 1, or he could be the starter week 6, similar to what Drake May did last year. And then Emeka Egbuka, I don't see as a day 1 starter either. So I mean, it's really the top 5 or 6 picks in this draft, in rookie drafts, that are going to be productive, and everybody else you're taking a chance on.
Yeah, and that's like you hit it right on there. I mean, a couple of these guys in the middle round here in the second round may be able to carve out something because of how shallow some of their competition is. A guy like Kyle Williams, going to New England, there's not a whole lot of. I mean, obviously Stephon Diggs is there, but he's a guy that now he's going into the second round. He wasn't even on a lot of guys' radar before the draft or in the draft process after the combine and stuff. So I agree with you there, Biggs. A couple good values here in the second. I'd say Scatabo, getting 209. That's a far drop for somebody that could potentially be, the number 1 first, second down back right out of camp here because of the way he runs. A good compliment back to Tyrone Tracy. I think they'll do well together as a former converted wide receiver. Tracy is. So I like that slide. Tre Harris, I think, he's going to maybe have a starting role in that offense to start, but it might be minimal snap share, minimal routes run until he can find his feet. And we know that, as much as, Quentin Johnston is, his hands aren't there. He's not, prolific in any way, but he's going to have a couple of years of experience on Harris. So he might get that start right out of the gate because of that. And we can't, forget that he was a first round draft capital guy. So these are all things that are probably weighing in on Tre Harris' situation, but long term, I love his upside here. I think he's going to be a really good addition to that team, guys.
Yeah, QJ's got a couple years of experience sucking.
I do want to address that. I really hated this landing spot for Tre Harris, not only in my personal life, but also as far as fantasy production is concerned, because I was looking at him as one of my top 2 or 3 wide receivers in this draft class, and all he needed was a place to be able to go and start as an X. The problem is you have Ladd McConkey, who's going to lead that wide receiver room in targets, and then Quentin Johnston, as much as we like to hate on him, had a huge improvement in his usage in year 2, and I think he's a big part of Greg Roman's offense, especially running deep routes, nines and posts and stuff like that. I think he's going to see the ball a lot. He had, I want to say, 750 yards receiving last year, started to really come on at the end of the year, and he scored a lot of touchdowns. I want to say he had 8 touchdowns last year. I think that Quentin Johnston is primed for a huge year 3 breakout.
Yeah,
I'm on the opposite end of that. QJ doesn't scare me. Tre Harris is going to take his job right out the gate.
I mean, I feel talent-wise, that's absolutely a realistic outcome. But I just have a feeling that Quentin Johnston has a pretty big year.
Well, he had a good end to the last year. I mean, he was getting some big target share. I think he was the last 6 games. I think he was averaging like 8 targets a game, if I'm not mistaken. So that is nothing to scoff at. And you connect on 1 or 2 of those a game, and those are like 30, 40-yard gains. And next thing you know, he's putting together a pretty good season. So, a lot of people had him highly touted in the scouting process. Yes, he had his hand catching, not the greatest towards his body catches, but maybe he's learning from that. And, he's a guy that Herbert's started to develop a little bit of a relationship here with. And we know that what happens with a guy like Herbert, and when they start clicking like Lon McConkey did last year, who knows what could happen.
Tre Harris gives me Jalen McMillan vibes in terms of his situation. Like midway into this, if he's going to be successful in 2025, it's going to be a few weeks into the season. Maybe require an injury. They also signed Mike Williams. They brought Mike Williams back. And
Yes.
if there's anybody who's a sacrificial X receiver, run down the field and maybe you'll catch a prayer from Justin Herbert. I think Mike Williams could play that role. But it does show that they want somebody to bring Tre Harris along as that X inline wide receiver on the outside. And it could be in 2025 or 2026, 2027. Tre Harris has a huge outbreak. What is wrong with my brain?
Hey, on the Mike Williams front, one of the funniest things I've ever heard someone say to describe a player was Mike Williams, every time he catches the ball, looks like he's catching a ball while jumping into a pool.
And then hitting cement on the way down.
Yes.
Mike, in the United States, we have pools in our backyard because it's not frozen all the time.
We have ice rinks in our backyard, eh?
I know.
That's why you guys are so good.
We swim in our ice rinks.
Yes, apparently, yes. All right, folks. What a great episode. We covered, 4 rounds of a rookie mock draft. So hopefully we gave you some insights on these rookies, some sleepers to kind of keep your eye on.
Dante Thornton.
Yes,
Sorry.
especially in those later rounds. 3rd, 4th rounds is where a lot of these drafts are made and where people really get their steam up. If we remember guys like James Robinson, Brock Purdy, Puka Nacua, all these guys you would find in the 4th round or even later in these rookie drafts. So yeah, look for them, find them, listen to us, and hopefully we've pegged a couple of them for you.
There's one guy that we haven't pegged, and I cannot last an entire show without pegging him, and that's Raiders wide receiver Dante Thornton. Do not leave any draft without Dante Thornton, whether it's a rookie in Dynasty, whether it's a redraft later on in the summer, whether it's a best ball league, if it's on Origins, on Fast Draft, whatever it is, you want Dante Thornton on your team.
I can't believe that wasn't a Lan Larison plug.
Oh, I'm over Lan Larison.
There it is. All right, folks.
That's not true. That's not true. I'm sorry, Lan. I didn't mean to say that. I'm not over you.
Go ahead, like and subscribe to our stuff. Go to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network website. You're going to find all our great content there, but also look for our rookie guide that is dropping any day now, and it is tight. You're going to have analysis on 50 offensive players, 24 defensive players. It is in depth. We have advanced metrics. We've got everything you know from the landing spot to where you should be drafting them in redraft and in Dynasty. So a lot of us worked really hard on getting this out to you, including the 3 guys sitting here right now. We're really proud of our effort, and hopefully you guys will get some great insight on it as well. So bigz, do like you always do.
Shout out to Grindberg, because nobody worked as hard on that rookie guide as he did.
You're wrong.
And I am all a Twitter with anticipation, waiting for this thing to come out. I want to see it. I want to look at it. I want to hold it with my eyes. I can't wait. It's gonna be good.
It's beautiful.
But other than that, like, subscribe, hit the bell, follow us on all the things, and we hope you win.
Hope you win, folks.
We hope you win.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com